balance. The question I get all the time is, how can you find balance in your life? And listen, the answer isn't easy because you're being pulled in a million different directions and trying to figure out which takes priority. And you know what? I hear you, because I'm trying to find balance in my own life. After all, how can you be healthy if you're not balanced? And that's why this show is so important to me. Now, I've asked my audience, all you kind folks who participated in this, to be part of a great social experiment. Everybody here has revealed a part of their life that is most out of balance. And we put them all up here on the big board of balance. Whether it's your work or your family, money, health, happiness, they're all in here. They're all important. Some of them have double layers of concerns, and some weren't as much of a problem. But even if one, just one of these is out of balance, it can deplete your life, leading to stress and burnout. So today, I'm introducing my blueprint for balance. It's a year-long project that will get your life from burnout to back on track. But first, one of my favorite quotes about balance comes from Albert Einstein. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. So no matter what part of your life is out of balance, it's okay. It really is. By the end of my plan, you'll have the tools, the steps, the insights to help you manage the areas that you need balanced. There she is. It's taking you right there. And I brought in some of the country's top minds to help you out. Work, family, health, happiness. How can you get it all in balance? And what about food, money, love, creativity, connection, and resilience? Spirit, strength, forgiveness. They're all interconnected and need to be in balance too. If you feel like life is pulling you in a million different directions and everything is out of whack, then this is your year. Our season-long initiative, The Blueprint for Balance, starts today. Our world-class team of experts will motivate and inspire you to find balance in your life. Make this the year you commit to our Blueprint for Balance and get your life from burnout to back on track. Now, your journey to balance starts with my good friend and colleague, CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. God, I love having you on the show.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Oh, you make me want to become a neurosurgeon.
Right. Most important organ. We always have this conversation, the brain or the heart.
No. The heart, without the heart, there's no brain. What's the point? We're all about our hearts. It's the most poetic organ. That's right. Anyways, for a different day. Balance. We struggle with it. What does it mean to you?
I think for me, and I give it a great deal of thought, I think it really has to do with mindfulness. And what I mean by that is being really present in the moment. We have lots of different things going on in our lives. The struggle becomes when we're doing one thing and we're focused on something else. You took a shower this morning? Yeah. Did you just feel the water going down your back? When you listen to your kids talking, are you making a mental to-do list thinking about something else? Are you listening and enjoying your kids talking? That to me really gives you the balance. You don't feel resentment or guilt about doing one thing. You give it your full attention.
When we appreciate its importance, you'd think we'd be able to do it, yet it's elusive for all of us. Me, you, in fact, everyone watching probably. Why is it so difficult to achieve balance?
We are pulled in so many different directions. We're taking in so much data. Every minute we may be taking in 35 megabytes of data. Just as you and I are talking, we're trying to focus on so many different things. Here's the challenge, is that when you're doing one thing, if you are truly thinking about something else, you start to have a sense of guilt. You come home, you say, I really should be at the office still, and therefore you start to have some guilt about that. That takes away your balance. It also takes away your happiness. Instead, a lot of times I'll incorporate my young children now into my work. Hey, I did this interesting thing at work today, girls. Well, what do you think about this? As opposed to saying, draw a line between family life and your work life. I try not to do that anymore. And they love it. I love it. It helps me get my balance.
Yeah, wonderfully stated. You see why I love him so much. Sanjay's not alone. We have put together arguably the biggest and best thinkers on balance in one place at one time. So let's meet some of my other Blueprint for Balance experts. First off, Oprah just named her the next generation thought leader, Gabriel Bernstein. She started the Quiet Revolution and is the author of The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, Susan Cain. One of psychiatry's leading doctors of using food to balance mood, Dr. Drew Ramsey. She's established herself as a rock star leader in meditation, in part because she's a DJ too, Donna DeCruz, and the CEO of the wellness company, Happier, Natalie Kogan, is joining us. Aren't they a bunch of well-groomed, well-balanced looking individuals? Thanks for being part of this. I'm gonna start with Gabriel. She talks a lot about the issue of overachieving. We're a nation, people who are cramming all the stuff in as much as we can, and yet trying to do that argues against the very balance that we're trying to show people this year.
Right, yeah. Well, true balance has to come from a desire to surrender. And I think we have to face the fact that we're not going to be able to get everything done overnight. We're not going to be able to please everyone or achieve all of our goals immediately. So we have to really let ourselves off the hook and have that desire to surrender and accept that we're not superhuman and we can't do it all at once. And when we accept that, that's when we really begin the pathway to balance. And that balance will create more flow and more peace and more happiness and more health. And that's what we're here for.
I feel more balanced already, Gabriel. Susan Cain wrote a book on the power of quiet, right? But how is it we find calm so we can achieve balance?
Well, so much of calm, it's not only about techniques like deep breathing, it also comes from a deep emotional place of feeling entitled to be who you are and to take the alone time that you need. So for example, in my work with introverts, I often tell people, if you know that you have a morning full of business meetings, make sure that you're scheduling a lunch date just with yourself. If you know that you're going to have a weekend of a family reunion, make sure you feel entitled to slip away for a nice read with a long book or to take a long walk. Because the truth is, when we get the alone time we need, that's when we can be most present for the people we love.
And you've discovered that a lot more of us are actually introverts than we appreciate. Dr. Drew, who apparently was my second-year resident, and this morning confided I was not abusive, Sanjay, like your claims, says, you said we're a nation obsessed with food, and yet food influences mood in many ways and throws our balance off.
Yeah, and we're obsessed with the wrong foods, Dr. Oz. We're obsessed with the simple sugars, the refined carbs, the wrong fats, and they throw off our balance. So we're going to help everybody get on the right foods. We're going to put them on the foods that help improve brain function, balance their moods, sharpen their brain, help with mental health.
And it's more than just kale.
Well, we're going to give them some kale. We're going to give them a little kale.
Donna DeCruz is a world-famous disc jockey. So the reason she's here is because you know more about work-life balance than most people that I appreciate. And I'd love to hear you share some of your insights.
Yes, well, it's actually really important, I think.
See, balance is coming off already.
Look at the effect
people
I'm
are
having.
falling right behind us.
Hold them over.
Yes, what can I say? I think it's really important. One of the first things I think fundamentally is we have to realize that it's our right to have inner peace, to embrace connection. And we are so caught up in the doingness, in the busyness, that we forget that we are human beings, not human doings. And it's in our beingness that we actually get to express our spirit, reconnect to our truth, and really expand and live the best life we can. And we do that by really coming to stillness, appreciating, whether that's through gardening, whether that's through meditation. We come, we sit, we listen, we eavesdrop into that spirit place, and we should be unabashed about that, to embrace that truthful place.
I can't wait to see the playlist. Dr. Sanjay Gupta is back, and he's helping me kick off my season-long blueprint for balance. And today we're focusing on living in the moment. What does that actually mean to you, living in the moment? And why do you think it's so critical for the kind of balance challenges we face?
Very few people actually do this, living in the moment. And I think it's critical because I think, first of all, it probably makes you a lot better at what you're doing that moment. Sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't realize that. We've come to believe that multitasking actually makes us more efficient. The opposite is true, and in a big way. So actually, when you're living in the moment, you're paying attention to what you're doing, and you're able to actually think about other things at the time that you're doing those other things better as a result. So, and by the way, it's professionally and personally. You got to do this with your family and your friends as well. Don't be checking your phone when you're at dinner. Don't be thinking of your mental to-do list when your 6-year-old is talking to you. It drives me nuts. And I mean, look, I'm a relatively new dad still, but I think that's one of the most important things.
One of the worst things that happens in my family, I fight it all the time, is we get in the car, all of us, and the kids get on their phones. Like they're not in the car. Simple things like that, but they add up to this balance issue. A lot of folks have been asking about happiness. How do you actually know when you're happy?
I think it's one of those things that they've described, it's hard to really know it, but you know it when you feel it. You know, it means different things to different people. For me, I think it means a life of contentment and purpose. If I go to bed thinking that I accomplished everything that I could accomplish that day, I feel pretty happy about that. Also, I think if I were to ask you, Mehmet, are you happy? And you answered it, and I know that you meant it, then that you know, these sound like simple things, but that's really it. I also think, you know, we live in a cynical world. I think we need to decrease cynicism. We should be skeptical to some extent of things, but not overly skeptical to the point where it takes away our happiness. We should let go of grudges. Grudges do no good. Grudges are just basically prescriptions for unhappiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Taking poison and wishing ill on others doesn't get you there.
It doesn't do anything for you. We're all here on the same planet. We got one life to live.
So Sanjay's found scientific proof that living in the moment and achieving happiness is easier than you think. I love this. Take a look.
Happiness isn't just a pleasant thing you feel. Science proves it's much deeper than that. Feeling happy actually helps you live a longer, healthier life. But how? Well, a large part of our happiness is tied to our social connections. In fact, if you don't have at least one close friend, you're less likely to be happy. Each of us have these things called telomeres. Those are tiny caps on our DNA chromosomes that measure our cellular age. And it turns out, they also measure how many friends we have. No friends equals shorter telomeres. So by simply being social, you can actually slow down your biological age, living longer and happier.
So I'm going to actually quiz you guys, because we got some science around some answers that you may not think exist. So for example, how many of you think it's more important to have one best friend or a large group of good friends? Okay, so hands up for folks who like having just one really good friend. All right? It's a good number of people, about half the people, maybe a little more than half. How many folks think it's more important to have lots of really good friends? Interestingly split.
Yeah.
So you actually say there's an answer to this question.
I think it comes back to the quality over quantity thing. So one best friend is probably going to do you better in terms of your happiness, in terms of your overall life. There's somebody who knows you, somebody who keeps you honest, someone you're going to listen to. Look, having friends is good. You know, I never had a ton of friends, even when I was growing up, but having that one best friend, I think, really made a huge difference for me.
Now that's a little startling to some of you, I know, and I'm not trying to unend the relationships you have, but but I gotta say, you mentioned earlier, having someone say that they're happy and knowing that it's true means a lot because you can audit it. That's why having just someone who's almost like a soulmate is so very critical. In fact, if I have a patient comes to my office without someone with them, I will force them to call somebody so I can talk to them on the phone while I'm having the discussion. And if they still can't find anybody, I'll delay the operation. This is how much I'm passionate about this. Delay the operation, because if you've gotten to 50 years of age and you don't think anyone loves you so much they care if you survive heart surgery, we got to challenge that assumption. Right. I've never failed in having someone reconnect with someone to be their partner getting through a crisis. Someone loves you. Someone loves you. Yeah. All right. Ready for one more question? You guys were 50-50 in the last one. I know they're hard. We all have opinions on these things, but when you have science that can educate us, we ought to know it. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. You think mostly about what you need or what you have? Okay, audience, who thinks mostly about the things they need, the need group? All right, about half. How many think more about what they actually already have? Slightly more, but not a difference. This is actually a trick question. You know the old quiz about whether the glass is half empty or half full? It's the same question. I just phrased it differently. Sanjay and I came up with this way of needling you guys a little bit. Look at that diagram there. So what we need is actually the glass half empty group. And what we already have is a glass half full group. So challenge yourself, challenge the people in your life about how you're perceiving things that are happening that are, objectively the same, but we interpret them differently.
That's right, yeah.
Now, Sanjay's research has shown that there are real health benefits to being an optimist. Please share them.
We know a lot about it. This used to be in the sort of realm of anecdotal, just stories about it, but there's science now, as you say, behind this. If you, for example, you're an optimist, you are 50% more likely to not have certain types of heart disease, heart attacks, or stroke. 50%. I mean, there's not a medication or even your talents probably as a heart surgeon that could do that.
No, I do the opposite sometimes.
You're also more likely to have better scores in terms of your blood glucose and your cholesterol. Again, you and I have talked about this. I think we are way over-medicated. Yeah. The idea of practicing optimism every day as a true therapy for some of these things, it's huge.
Isn't it startling, guys?
It's something within all of us. We can all do this. And again, you and I, both as surgeons, are saying this. Slowing down progression of disease. So now you've been diagnosed with the disease, perhaps. It's going to progress at a certain rate, perhaps. What that rate is can be somewhat within your control as well. We release certain feel-good hormones, certain hormones that can help fight types of cancers, can decrease the progression of heart disease simply through optimism. So, those are some of the things.
So I realize that as difficult as these topics are, we're putting more and more meat on them. There's one last idea you brought up that I'm going to once again challenge our audience with. It has to do with laughter. Now, you've heard the phrase, laughter is the best medicine, right? But it actually turns out there's some science behind that. I mean,
Mom
it's
was
unbelievable.
right.
Mom was right. So what is it?
Well, laughter is the best medicine. First of all, we know what's happening in the body when someone laughs. There was a study that I found fascinating. People who had had a heart attack, and now they're worried about having another heart attack. People who actually laughed regularly, and they would do everything from just making them laugh, showing them sitcoms, making them watch comedy films, whatever it was. 42% of the people who did not laugh regularly more likely to go on to have existing heart disease again. 8%. So, 1/5 in the group that actually laughed regularly, the chance of having a second heart attack. So it was really a remarkable study.
So one more time, you have a 1/5 the chance of having a major heart problem.
A second heart attack. If you've had one already, 1/5 the chance of having a second one.
If you laugh.
If you're a regular laugher.
That's worth laughing.
That's worth laughing. Something to laugh about.
Let's do it right now. You up for it? All right. So Sanjay came up with this idea. So blame me if you don't like it.
I'll point out as well, it doesn't matter whether you just saw anything funny or not. Just laughing. I mean, call it fake laughter, call it whatever you want, but I promise you, as we start laughing, you're not going to be able to help yourself. It just comes out. It's in there. And
who's nervous about fake laughter? Yeah, there are a couple there.
Look at that.
All right.
With that kind of yellow.
All right, are you ready? We're going to put this to the test. We're going to, at a count of 3, we're going to laugh for 3 seconds. Okay? You're going to start us off?
All right.
1, 2, 3. Cut! You guys actually made me happy.
You're still laughing.
Isn't that bizarre? They're still laughing.
All day.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.